The religion that teaches people to love and other articles. Author Povitro Odhikari. Narration Anupriya Dotto and Ashish Hazra. The religion that teaches people to love. The religion that makes people helpless is not mine. The religion that turns people into terrorists is not mine. The religion that teaches people the path of violence is not mine. The religion that teaches people to love, the religion that teaches people to serve, that religion is my religion. My religion is humanity. In my eyes, there is no difference between God and nature. My God is Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. My God is Satchidananda. God is one and unique. He is the controller of this universe. We are a tiny creature made up of Triguna. Our soul is part of the Absolute Soul. Our body is made of stardust. So this universe is within us. We have been created from the Panchabhuta, made up of Triguna. After death, we will disappear into that Panchabhuta again. From there, new life will be created again. Our bodies have death, but our souls do not die. The soul is immortal and indestructible. The soul can easily flow from one era to another, from one dimension to another, and in different eras, in different dimensions, born in different forms. The soul changes one body after another. Then once liberated and reunited with that absolute being, in this way, the soul merges with the absolute soul. Selflessness is godliness. In order to achieve that, first, you have to control Shadaripu. There is probably nothing more difficult than suppressing Shadaripu. So, it is not at all easy to realize that great God. There are different types of yoga to understand that God, such as Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, etc. Knowledge is the most precious gem in this universe. Knowledge is the most powerful weapon in this universe. Knowledge removes all the darkness of ignorance from our lives and leads us to the light. True knowledge liberates our mind, removes all narrowness of mind. True knowledge frees our minds from superstition, removes all pride from the mind, and makes us realize the true nature of God. Karma is a religion of life. Karma is worship. Without karma, not even the slightest welfare of this universe is possible. What is the purpose of this life? Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. The only selfless action is needed to achieve these. Karma is the only way we can control it. Our karma is our true identity. From eternity to eternity, we have to enjoy or suffer consequences of our karma. Death may be avoided, but consciousness of karma can never be avoided. The real goal of life is service. The one who loves the living, the one who serves God. The joy that comes from devoting oneself to the welfare of all, helping the helpless, is a real joy. The joy that comes from devoting oneself to the welfare of all, helping the helpless, is a real joy. Selflessness is godliness. There is nothing more beautiful and joyful in this universe than love and compassion. Maybe God created this universe with love and compassion. So, the religion that teaches people to love, the religion that teaches people to serve, that religion is my religion. Knowledge is the most precious gem. Humans are not the mightiest animal on this planet. Maybe that human beings are not even the most intelligent animal too. Even humans fall to acclimatize themselves with the passing away of time. Then how is it possible for human beings to proceed further in comparison with the other animals? What is the main reason behind the progress of the human civilization? The key factor is, no doubt, his language. Human being can express his feelings through his language very easily. The second reason is knowledge achieved through research by some educated and wise men. That knowledge has spread from one generation to another through the language. And that knowledge is undoubtedly the absolute power. That knowledge, emanating from research, has given competitive advantage than all other animals. Hence, human species are commanding throughout the entire world. If I question, what is the most precious gem in this world? What is the most powerful weapon in this world? Because of our dearth of knowledge, we don't know it. Therefore, maybe for that lack of knowledge, in spite of getting the most precious gem close to our hand, we could not recognize it and rather threw it away. If we are given the most powerful weapon in this world, but we don't have sufficient knowledge to apply, then we will not gain anything with that weapon. The main source of all creation in this universe is knowledge. Knowledge is the most precious gem. Knowledge is the most powerful weapon. The creature that is at the forefront of science and knowledge in this universe, that creature is the most advanced, the most powerful, perhaps the wealthiest. If aliens attack us in the future or any other big danger comes, then science and knowledge will protect us. We don't need a lot of money to improve this world. We want good education and a healthy mindset. It is therefore very necessary to enlighten every citizen in the light of education. We all have to work together for the favorable situation to come.
Learn for yourself and teach the next generation. We don't need a lot of money to improve this world. We want good education and a healthy mindset. Greed and stupidity are leading us to destruction. The present age is the age of the internet. The internet is the source of endless knowledge. But now, it has become a puppet in the hands of dishonest businessmen. It has increased the desire of millions of people so much that people are not satisfied with anything now. Most people are now suffering from depression because their wishes have not been fulfilled. Video games are taking away the childhood of small children. Now there is no such thing as a strong desire to play on the field among young children. How will they take responsibility for the future? We need to think about how to develop the roots and wings of young children because they are our future. There has been such intrusion of dirty politics into the game now. Similar politics have become a dirty game. The people of the country have accepted it. We don't want such a horrible situation in future. The green smooth world seems to be disappearing, as if we are running out of our resources. Have you ever thought of the next generation? The way we are wasting resources, what will be left for them in the future? Think about that. Overpopulation and environmental pollution are serious problems in any developing country. Bigger problems than terrorism and corruption. But we have no concerns. Keep the environment good. Don't get dirty unnecessarily. Don't litter plastic and mask here and there. Your little unconsciousness can cause the death of other animals. Plant trees regularly. Do not destroy the forest. If you do that, one day human civilization will perish for the want of oxygen. Save animals that are endangered. Not competition, but willful cooperation is the key to life as we depend on each other in the food chain. Let's give an example. Although small, bees play a significant role in the creation of this nature. For some reason, if the bees become extinct, thus this human civilization will cease to exist too. We are unimportant in the face of this nature. If nature wants to take revenge for the violations we have committed, our existence will be wiped out in a few moments. We have come to this world due to the hospitality of this nature. If we despise that nature, our destruction will be inevitable. Learn for yourself and teach the next generation. Do not waste resources. Rather, think of how to save them. Otherwise, the next generation will not forgive you either.
God consciousness. I believe in God. When I meticulously scrutinize His each and every creation, applying my scientific temper and spiritual knowledge, I realize that He is a great rationalist. The universe created by Him is like an enigma. He wants us to solve these mysteries with our intelligent and rationalistic mind. God is Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram, absolute truth, absolute auspicious, absolute beautiful. Absolute truth is absolute auspicious. Absolute auspicious is absolute beautiful. Absolute beautiful is absolute truth. He is Satyam, the possessor of all sorts of knowledge. He is Shivam, who always devotes himself to the welfare of this universe. He is Sundaram, the provider of matchless, unparalleled beauty, ever delightful God. God is Satchidananda. God is the divine truth. God is the divine consciousness. God is the divine bliss. Truth, consciousness and bliss complement each other, are inseparable and form nirguna, formless Brahma. That Satchidananda Nirguna formless Brahma is the true nature of God. The consciousness of this universe is one and unique Brahma. The source of all beings is that consciousness. God is omniscient, the creator of this universe, a great artist and a great scientist. What is the religion of that great God? Work is the religion of that great God. He devotes himself unselfishly to the welfare of the universe, always engaged in action. God has given an artist or a scientist the divine power to create something new. A wise person has the ability to understand God. Many question me, what is my belief in God? There is no difference between God and nature in my eyes. I have seen God in nature and nature in God. But some people worship God, but ignore nature. That's not right, because there is no difference between God and nature. We are created from this nature, and everything we are collecting, everything from this nature for our survival. We're enjoying the exquisite beauty of this nature. After our death, we will disappear into that Panchabhuta also. From there, new life will be created then. We have come to this world with the hospitality of this nature. If we despise that nature, our destruction will be inevitable. Admiration deserved. There is an absolute joy in stimulating love and the destitute. There lies success in life. But this is not at all a simple way. Everyone can't give oneself for everyone. Then what is the easiest way to have joy in life? Giving pleasure to others. Let's have some examples. Suppose your better half has cooked very well, or you have called on a household where you have been served tasty food. If you praise that food, but you're not getting trifling at all for it, rather the person who cooked will be satisfying. Suppose your husband or your wife has certain innate quality. Maybe she is great at composing a magnificent poem or can draw unique pictures. You can praise that quality. There you can't have light at all. Maybe your husband or wife is struggling hard to work day and night to earn a flourishing life. Please don't hurt him or her by comparison with anyone else. Give him or her the praise he or she deserves. Suppose your son or daughter has got a meager success. Congratulate him or her for the slight success he or she has had. Praise him or her for that achievement. That praise will inspire or motivate him or her in life. Take care, for these are things for the success of your child. If you admit your child to a leading school, he or she will be successful if you spend a lot of money. Change that mentality. Suppose you are a teacher. You notice an improvement in your student. No matter how poor the improvement is, you should encourage him or her. Give him or her the praise he or she deserves. As a result, he or she will get the motivation to move forward in life. Suppose you're working in an office. Your boss has done great work. Then praise your boss. Take it also that you are the boss in your office. An employee has accomplished excellent work. Later, you should praise that work. If you appreciate his or her work, there you can't get insignificant at all. In this way, we can bring huge changes in the ambience of our home and office environment with a slight effort. Every person in this world loves admiration. Praise gives joy to their mind. Motivate them to work anew. Everyone has some or another quality. Praise him for that quality. That will motivate him in every step of his life. Never criticize anyone unnecessarily. Remember that we are not perfect. Each of our fault is printed on the back, hence we don't see them. Despite praising one another, we like criticizing them. Even a scientist who sacrificed his full life for research and the prosperity of human civilization has to endure that he has not made any effort to develop society by entering politics. What could be more social than science research? But this society still wants to condemn him. If one does not have the praise he deserves, instead, if he is unnecessarily criticized, he will be emotionally confused. His attitude will be greatly reflected in his work, at home and in the office. That is why mental turmoil and frustration have increased so much now. There is a lot of competition in today's life. Therefore, don't get frustrated by criticizing someone unnecessarily.
God and nature. About 50 crore people do not believe in the existence of God in this world. The number of atheists may increase further in the future. Religion is now so obsessed with superstition that it's difficult to realize the true nature of God. Hence, one is to suppress Shoruripu, essentially. Self-realization is to be done. It requires selflessness for self-realization. This selflessness is to be acquired through service before self and selfless acts of service. Through yoga and meditation, one can enter the spiritual world and realize God. God is Satyam Shivam Sundaram. Absolute truth, absolute auspiciousness, absolute beautiful. Absolute truth is absolute auspicious. Absolute auspicious is absolute beautiful. Absolute beautiful is absolute truth. He is Satyam, the possessor of all sorts of knowledge. He is Shivam, who always devotes himself to the welfare of this universe. He is Sundaram, the provider of matchless, unparalleled beauty, ever delightful God. God is Satchidananda. God is the divine truth. God is the divine consciousness. God is divine bliss. Truth, consciousness, and bliss complement each other. They are inseparable and form Nirguna formless Brahman. That Satchidananda Nirguna formless Brahman is the true nature of God. Many question me, what is my belief in God? There is no difference between God and nature in my eyes. I have seen God in nature and nature in God. We are created from this nature and everything we are collecting, everything from this nature for our survival. We are enjoying the exquisite beauty of this nature. After our death, we will disappear into that Panchabhuta also. From there, new life will be created then. When nature adorns herself with rainwater and sunlight, it creates matchless beauty all around. When the fragrance of flowers spreads all around, feeling that form, sap and smell of nature, the artist entity in our minds thus become jubilant. But when nature gets angry, thus we all tremble in fear, seeing her horrible form. When we review the creation of God completely, he is altogether with a rationalist. The mystery of this nature is like a puzzle. God wants us to solve this puzzle with a rationalist mind. The law of nature that time is ever rushing from the past to the future. God himself deals with the speed of time. Space, time, and vessel will constantly be fixed. So any event will take place the way it happened. It will not be desirable to change it. If an animal in the universe travels in time, or looking at future if an animal changes the course of events, it is assumed that it is according to God's plan. Therefore, nature controls strictly, since indeed the slightest mistake can cause extreme damage to the universe. If it created different speeds in different directions of the timeline, many universes will be made. Disruption will take place in universal programming. If it is not controlled, the universe of ours will be destroyed. To control it, nature often has to pay much more compensation. Then a horrendous natural disaster occurred. It took special care to ensure so that no creature in this universe travels through time and makes any special changes. For this, the animals of several planets have been annihilated by nature. We are a very tiny creature. Maybe one day we know that our Earth may have a life force. Our solar system, planet, satellite, and millions of stars, each may have a life force. Every object in this universe revolves around each other. We are mere actors on the stage of life. We all are a part of a huge drama controlled by universal programming. If we disrespect that nature, then our destruction will be inevitable.
6. Precious gems. I believe in God. When I meticulously scrutinize each and every creation applying my scientific temper and spiritual knowledge, I realize that He is a great rationalist. The universe created by Him is like an enigma. He wants us to solve those mysteries with our intelligent and rationalistic mind. He is Satyam, the possessor of all sorts of knowledge. He is Shivam, who always devotes himself to the welfare of this universe. He is Sundaram, the provider of matchless, unparalleled beauty, ever delightful God. What is the most precious gem or stone in this universe? There are ample descriptions about gems and various myths and stories of science fiction. But science is still unable to unravel the mystery of those gems. I am trying to interpret those gems applying my spiritual knowledge. Maybe science will be able to expound it explicitly in future. From the Big Bang Theory, we have come to know that our mysterious universe has come into existence from a small object or Jyotirlinga. This universe is constantly on the increase. We have learned from the Big Crunch theory that a reverse process will occur in the distant future. One day, this universe will gradually become smaller and smaller to merge into the Jyotirlinga once again. Now, I am coming to the mythology. During the creation of this universe, from the Jyotirlinga, 6 precious gems were created. Its description is in various stories of science fiction. The name of the first gem is Space Stone, which was given to Prajapati Brahma. With the help of that gem, he created space and various dimensions of this universe. He too created space and different types of dimensions in this universe using 0, 1, and infinity. Therefore, if you want to unravel the mystery of this creation, you have to take help from mathematics. There is no other way except it. The name of the second gem is Mind Stone, which was presented to the goddess Saraswati. As our body is controlled by our brain, this gem controls the entire universe in the same way. And this gem is a source of all knowledge, science, education, and intelligence of the whole universe. The third gem is Soul Stone, which was offered to Lord Vishnu. This gem is the soul of this universe. We can even call him Great Soul or Paramatma. Even our daily life emanated from there. When our soul attains salvation, it is united with a Great Soul or a Paramatma. The fourth gem is Reality Stone. This gem was delivered to the goddess Lakshmi. We can feel and enjoy beauty and wealth of this universe with our five senses. That's the reality. This beauty gives our mind immense pleasure. This wealth fills up our life with various pleasures and luxuries. But many people think that this reality is a type of illusion or maya. But maybe nobody will be able to deny this infatuation in our real world. The fifth gem is Time Stone, which was given away to the goddess Mahadeva. If there is anything most mysterious in this universe, it is time. This gem controls the speed of time. It is possible to control the past, the present, and future with the help of this gem. There is an intimate relationship between time and space. The speed of time in different dimensions is therefore different. The sixth gem is Power Stone, which was presented to the goddess Durga. The source of all power in the universe is this gem. The entire universe is controlled by this power. The speed and direction of every object in this universe are controlled by this gem. No object in this universe is static, revolving around each other. If every object in this universe was fixed together with this gem, the speed of time would also be stopped. Therefore, each gem is dependent upon each other and thus complementary to each other too. Make dharma sans prejudice. Make dharma sans prejudice. The dharma which teaches humanity. The dharma which propagates kindness. The dharma which shows you the right path. The dharma which preaches unity in diversity is the ultimate dharma. The dharma which segregates people, the dharma which follows the path of unnecessary violence, the dharma which is enveloped in superstitions, that dharma can never be true dharma. That is adharma. In my eyes, there is no difference between God and Allah. If the one who destroys the temple is called a religious man, if the one who demolishes the mosque is called a religious man, then who is impious? Who is an atheist? In the name of tarnished politics, numerous men and women are killed every day. So many infants and adults are insulted and tortured, but no one keeps account on them. Dharma lies behind the veil of superstitious beliefs. Make dharma sans prejudice. Protect our dharma. Otherwise, adharma will be the reason behind our downfall. In the battle between dharma and adharma, we need to choose the sides carefully. We have to establish dharma. We have to ignite the fire of wisdom in the minds of people. We have to teach people how to love and spread love.
Knowledge is the greatest power. Many consider that being wise, scientists should concentrate solely and exclusively on their work instead of taking part in politics. Politics is run by some strong and influential Bahubali. It is quite impossible for the educated and wise people to take part in politics. But I do not agree on this point. Firstly, I want to show some scientific fact about it. Humans are not the mightiest animals on this planet. Maybe that human beings are not even the most intelligent animal too. Even humans fail to acclimatize themselves with the passing away of time. Then how is it possible for human beings to proceed further in comparison with the other animals? What is the main reason behind the progress of the human civilization? The key factor is, no doubt, language. Human beings can express their feelings through language very easily. The second reason is knowledge, achieved through research by some educated and wise men. That knowledge has spread from one generation to another through language. And that knowledge is undoubtedly the absolute power. That knowledge emanating from research has given competitive advantage to us than all other animals. Hence, human beings are commanding throughout the entire world. But the most people in our country cannot make out their own benefits. Therefore, they take for granted those learned and wise men to be stupid. And so, they are not really fit for governing the country. Naturally, they prefer Bahubali, greedy and power-hungry leaders to any educated person. These people feed common people on eggs and rice, and then after winning elections, they start plundering the entire country to their heart's content for 5 long years. Before electing a candidate, the common people never think whether that person is suitable for running the country or not. Putting emphasis on strength, false promises and trick can bring on power easily. But by applying that power, not a single noble deed can be done, nor any progress can be made. For this reason, we need knowledge gained through research. Knowledge is the most powerful thing. To run a country in a proper way, to move forward the country, we need educated people the most. The people whom the countrymen elect are not quite efficient to run the country, though they seem to be apparently fit for the progress of the nation. Great power brings huge responsibilities, but they are not eligible to fulfill this responsibility. To cover their weaknesses, they keep on blaming each other. Yet, the countrymen elect those unfit people, they attach less importance to the educated and wise men and even allude to vote for them. Wise and learnt men always want to make religion free from superstition. But opportunistic politicians try to fool common people by using religion and superstition as weapons. Unfortunately, the countrymen prefer these opportunistic politicians to anybody else. The countrymen indulge in the politics of violence and the politics of division. There is great joy in helping the helpless and assisting the destitute. And if any person wants to teach it, the people of the country neglect him. If any person wishes to show us dreams about calm, soothing, and a green earth, the countrymen ignore him. To change and transform the system is not so easy, but we should not admit defeat. The people in this country must be convinced that only if educated and wise people are given power to run the country, only then actual progress can be made. Only then the real development of this country is possible. Hence I say, knowledge is the greatest power.
What kind of politics is this? What kind of politics is this? Just to satiate their own needs? They ignore the common people and their own country. Their purpose is to organize meetings and processions in every area, where people would take active part, fighting over politics, fighting for power. Everyone wants to serve the country. So many fights for national service. It is surprising to think. Those who camouflage themselves when we needed them the most have arrived just before the elections. They say that their wish is to serve the nation and her children. If their words are true, where were they for all these days? They are using dharma as a tool just to play with us. Everyone is busy to announce their false promises. The purpose behind this politics is trivial. It is just a game of false pretenses. Wearing the mask of benevolence, some celebrities from the entertainment industry have taken active part. Like a chameleon, even they change colors. Election has become a corrupt business now, where some people buy and sell votes. The most undeserved candidate is given the responsibility to run the nation. How can a country survive like this? What kind of change is this? What kind of politics is this? Have people forgotten to choose between right and wrong? Then how can we justify such a democracy? Can't we choose a well-deserved candidate to run the nation this time? Corona, zoo and some caged birds and animals. Since my childhood, when I used to visit any zoo, all in a sudden my mind became indifferent. Seeing the caged animals and birds, it seemed to me as if we are doing injustice to them. Who wants this type of life in a cage? What is their sin? In 2020 and 2021, when we are almost under house arrest for COVID-19, we can feel their mental agony more and more. At this juncture, many of us desire to go for a walk on the hilltop or on the seaside beach, but we are helpless. When can we be able to take deep breath under the open sky? We are all eagerly waiting for the bright day to come. Those caged birds too dream day and night. If they can somehow manage themselves to get out of the cage, they will fly into the blue sky. They will fly in the mountains, in the sea, and in the open sky. If you truly love birds, please don't pop them into cages. This is my earnest request to you. Leave and fly them in the open sky. Let them enjoy their own life.
Treasure trove. What we mean by treasure trove is precious, hidden treasure that we have not discovered yet. We all think that if we are able to discover that treasure trove, our sorrows will be gone. Our lives will be filled up with various pleasures and luxuries. Now, if I question what is the most precious gem in this world, what is the most powerful weapon in this world? Because of our dearth of knowledge, we don't know it. Therefore, maybe for that lack of knowledge, in spite of getting the most precious gem close to our hands, we could not recognize it and rather threw it away. We are given the most powerful weapon in this world, but we do not have sufficient knowledge to apply. Then we will not gain anything with that weapon. When people did not learn to use fire for their own benefit, like other animals, they too were terrified to see fire. Did human beings ever think that this fire would take human beings a few steps forward than other species? This hidden treasure was in nature, in front of our very eyes, but people had to wait thousands of years to discover it and use it for their necessities. Then I want to mention another notable invention: electricity. It has not been long since people have used electricity for their own requirement. Electricity took human civilization a few steps ahead. But people were initially afraid of this electricity. This electricity has been there in front of our eyes for ages. But we could not use this electricity for our own needs, simply owing to the lack of knowledge. Maybe there are many such hidden treasures in our nature. They are before our eyes, but we cannot recognize them for the lack of our own knowledge. we cannot use them. In the future world, when we will be able to enlighten ourselves more in the light of knowledge, maybe then we will be able to discover many a treasure trove that will lead human civilization a few steps ahead.
God came to my dream. God came to my dream. The God who is controlling millions of stars, planets, satellites, galaxies, came to me. For a moment it seemed to me as if I am King of Kings. The agony of not being able to have anything will ever touch me. Yet I asked, why is so lawlessness? Why is so injustice? Why is so poverty? Why is so sadness? War, epidemic, natural calamity. Why all this? Why is so unbearable death procession? God replied, as night approaches at the end of the day, so the day will come after the night. No further competition. Make cooperation your key to life. No violence. Everybody needs to be taught to love. God has created this universe with love. That love is controlling this universe. Love does not mean wanting. It means giving too. To donate everything of self-possession. Not asking for anything in return. That selfless love has to be taught. The God who is controlling millions of stars, planets, satellites, galaxies, that sublime God must be loved. The God will donate you infinite love in return, and you will distribute that love among all and sundry. Thus, the world will prosper. In this universe, each and every activity is being controlled by that love. With that love, all the superstitious activities of religion, the politics of violence, the politics of division, everything must be removed. No violence. Everybody needs to be taught to love. The one who loves the living serves God. Dream world, spiritual world. If only we could invent such a device in the future. The device with which we can see and preserve the memory of any creature. We will see two kinds of memories there. Memories in the real world and memories in the dream world. We will see every chapter of their lives. Subconscious dream world also. Dream world is a type of strange world. It is an unfamiliar world. Dream world is a kind of spiritual world. We can find the parallel universe in this world. This world is free from the glamour of space, time, and dimension. Maybe many have researched about this dream world. Through yoga and meditation, one can enter the dream world, enter the spiritual world and realize God. It is possible to enter into that world through yoga and meditation. At the time of taking constant meditation, there comes a time when it appears that the entire universe has come to a standstill at a point. There is no speed anywhere. All the objects in this universe appear to have stopped together. That's the time when self-realization comes. The entrance of the dream world then opens for us. The dream world is free from the glamour of space, time, and dimension. The world of our feelings is restricted. In this universe, there are many things that we can never feel. We have to take shelter in the world of imagination. We can feel it in the dream world. If you want to realize God, soul and great soul, Paramatma, you have to enter into the dream world. It is a strange world full of fantasy. There is no form of God, but in the dream world, we have given ample forms to God with the power of our imagination. That form of God comes from our brains, created by our imagination. We have given various names to that God, but in a true sense, God is one and unique. He is almighty. But science has not yet succeeded to expound that God correctly. Though with the help of spiritual knowledge it is possible to realize that God in that dream world, many have dreamt of God. They heard the angel of God in their dream. Their saying is still immortal in various scriptures. God is Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram, absolute truth, absolute auspicious, absolute beautiful. Absolute truth is absolute auspicious. Absolute auspicious is absolute beautiful. Absolute beautiful is absolute truth. He is Satyam, the possessor of all sorts of knowledge. He is Shivam, who always devotes himself to the welfare of this universe. He is Sundaram, the provider of matchless, unparalleled beauty, ever delightful God. God is Satchidananda. God is the divine truth. God is the divine consciousness. God is the divine bliss. Truth, consciousness, and bliss complement each other, are inseparable, and form Nirguna, formless Brahma. That Satchidananda, Nirguna, formless Brahma, is the true nature of God.
Poverty alleviation. Money is ours, but resources belong to the society. Don't waste the resources. Save it. Since one class of people waste, another class of people are suffering from the lack of it. This is how poverty has been created. Poverty is a man-made curse. Donate to the poor without wasting any resources. Go and stand beside the helpless. In any type of disaster, such as a flood, cyclone, earthquake, epidemic, lockdown, in every case, poor are the worst victims. Naturally, they can't eat on a full stomach. There is always dearth of everything in their lives. They cannot even collect their minimum demand in the form of food, clothing, and shelter. But who is responsible for their condition? Is poverty a curse? To tell the truth, poverty is a man-made serious problem. It is created by a number of people wasting resources and abusing them. As a result of this, another class of people are in dire poverty. Thus, a class of people have made another class poor for ages. Then how is it possible to solve this problem? In any disaster, the poor mostly rely on the government. Many of us pay taxes for the development and service of the country by donating money through various funds. But does that money fully reach to the poor? Maybe they do not reach, owing to corruption. What is allocated by the government for the poor, a lot of brokers or middlemen embezzle them. Eventually, they do not get much in the end. Hence, corruption has made the condition of the poor worse. Many people opine that if power is given to the lower strata of society, then this problem will be solved. But I do not agree to that. Till now, the underprivileged do not realize what is beneficial for them. If power is given to them, they will not use that power in a proper way. Our first attempt should be to enlighten the poor people of the country in the light of education. If they get education, no political leaders or someone else will be able to cheat them. Then they will easily understand what is good for them. They will engage themselves more and more towards the welfare of the country as well as for the society. But in our democracy, no government wants the poor. to be educated overall. because they know very well that once they have education, it will not be easy to fool or exploit them in any way. As long as the poor are uneducated, it is very easy to rule by befooling them. But we have to change this attitude. Most of the people in our country are farmers. If they get education, they will cultivate it in an advanced way. They will be able to produce more crops. The money lenders will not be successful to snatch away their belongings at high interest rates. They will get fair price for their crops. Thus, there will be real improvement in their condition. Sending money to their bank accounts will not bring any real improvement. Rather, if that amount of money is used to provide education for the poor, they will efficiently do what will be better for them. Not only for the farmers, education is very important in every field of society. Science has improved a lot today. We have to think how by applying science we can bring on progress in the lives of the poor. One day, when all the poor in this world become educated, they will themselves understand how to make progress in their lives. It will not be an easy task to cheat them. They will try to improve their own lives. How they have been deprived of all the resources for ages will certainly end. Everybody will get their minimum demand, such as food, clothing, shelter, to survive. It is therefore very necessary to enlighten every citizen of the country in the light of education. We all have to work together unitedly for that auspicious day to come. We all have to come forward, help the helpless according to our ability, provide free education to at least 5 poor students a year, stand beside at least one poor family, donate to orphanages, old age homes, various voluntary organizations. Now is the time of disaster, not competition. Willingly making cooperation is the key to life. Otherwise, the next generation will not forgive us.
Disaster. If we review the history of human civilization, we will see that war, epidemic, and natural calamity have repeatedly damaged the human civilization. In the last 2 million years, human civilization has been destroyed several times and then again recreated. In the last 400 years, 4 times in a row, after every 100 years, epidemics have consumed us. From 1918 to 1919, the Spanish flu tormented the whole world in the same way. COVID-19 has given its totalitarian clutches all over the world. It is damaging human civilization from all sides. Death processions can be visible from all nooks and corners. The economic system has been severely damaged. The health service is totally collapsed. People are dying of starvation. While under house arrests, various types of mental disorders are inflicting in the minds of the common people. The First World War and the Second World War, however, damaged the human civilization severely. But even after witnessing the terrible tormenting of the war, there are still wars in different parts of the world. Natural disaster like cyclone, flood, earthquake, etc. are still going on. The worst victims of it are the poor. Their last resources have been taken away. Will war, pandemic, natural disaster completely destroy human civilization? Maybe can't destroy. Maybe human civilization wakes up again. The black shadow of darkness will be dispelled. Favorable situation will come. We all have to work together for the favorable situation to come. Now it is time of disaster. Now if human civilization wants to sustain its own existence, cooperation and not competition must be the key to life. Nature and time. If there is anything that is most inexplicable, it is nature. The rule of nature is that time always streams from the past to the future. The place, time, and vessel will constantly be regulated. That is to say, any event will take place in the manner it has taken place. It will not be conceivable to change in any way. If any advanced creature in this universe travels in time or looks at the future and transforms some events as he pleases, it is frequently assumed that it has been corresponding to the intention of nature. Time travel can be diverse. It can be by an automatically created time machine. Again, it can be by an artificially constructed time machine. It may be through wormholes, or it may be with the aid of supermassive black holes. It may be through the quantum realm, or it may be through the cosmic string. This can be by obtaining more speed than light, or in some alternative way. Science and our knowledge are insufficient. Time travel is just a fancy to us. Becoming strong with the cooperation of science, if any advanced creature can make time travel, and if he time travels against the design of nature and prefers to switch a situation by transforming space, time, and vessel, different motions will be generated in various directions of the timeline, and as a result of it, multi-universes will be set up. Then there will be anarchy in universal programming. If left undamaged, once this universe will be wiped out. Special care is taken to safeguard that no advanced creature in this universe can carry out any considerable transformations over time. Nature therefore deals with it closely, since undoubtedly the slightest forgetfulness can lead to the extinction of this universe. To control it, nature often has to pay much more compensation. Then a horrendous natural disaster occurred. To control it, the animals of several planets have been annihilated by nature. We are a very tiny creature. We all are mere actor on the stage. We all are a part of a huge drama controlled by universal programming. If we ignore the laws of nature, our destruction will be inevitable.
The destiny of the human species. What will be the prospect of the mortal species? Different individuals have diverse views on this topic. Many people assume that in the future, human species will be much more advanced in science. At the bottom of the sea, at the top of the atmosphere, people will settle and they will evolve into another civilization. Going around in space is not considered. Going around in space will not be a big deal then. People will therefore settle permanently on different planets. In the future, people will gain some natural remedies that will help care for people from all kinds of bacterial diseases. People will seek to travel to different dimensions. Many consider that the condition of the human species will not be favorable in the future. Mutagens, developed species, robots, cyborgs, aliens will fight to dominate the earth. The condition of the average person will therefore become wretched. Many speculate that the way humans are destroying nature, it will one day cause the earth unfit for human habitation. The air of this earth will turn toxic. Billions of people, many kinds of beasts will perish. Some people will take shelter in 108 spacecrafts. In this universe, they will search for a planet that will be convenient for mortal habitation. But it may not be attainable to discover such a world. Again, many consider that just as dinosaurs became extinct, so will humans. There will be no human species in the remote future. We are insignificant to this nature. We have come to this world with the opportunity of nature's hospitality. If we disrespect nature, our demolition will become unavoidable. Many believe that those giant creatures of fairy tales will return. They live in the abyss, that is under the ground, much deeper, or in the deep waters of the oceans. those giant creatures will one day be back. It may be that those giant creatures will come to our earth from different planets. The creatures of the different planets who live in the heavens will come to us on this earth. Then there will be a terrible battle between gods and monsters on this planet. The destruction of human civilization will be inevitable.
Rain, a wonderful creation. Talking about rain reminds me of my childhood. We recall that small village of ours where I spent my childhood and adolescence. I will never overlook the recollection of sporting for hours in the rain. The rain has tutored me to rejoice. The rain has instructed me to give to myself to everyone. I have likewise learned from the rain that there is boundless joy in offering myself to everyone. To me, life is a magnificent creation of translucent, delicate nature like rainwater. In my viewpoint of life, rain has a leading role to perform. There is nothing more beautiful than nature. Rain is a wonderful creation of that nature. Rain makes this nature green, wet, soft. Just as a mother bathes her child, so nature bathes creation with rainwater. The grace is incredible. That perception brings joy, not solely to me, but to all creation. I have perceived my mother's tenderness and love in nature. It is not feasible to identify God merely in worship and devotion. That great God has to be assumed or comprehended in the creation of nature. Once one realizes that great God, one comprehends that there is no controversy between God and nature. One can appreciate nature in God. God can be attained in nature. Many worships God but neglect nature. That's not acceptable because there is no distinction between nature and God. We have appeared to this world with the convenience of nature's hospitality. If we disrespect that nature, our destruction will be irresistible. This rainwater will seemingly take the shape of a catastrophe on that day and will devour everyone. It will finish our civilization. We are all actors in these parallel universes. How much better it would be if in the future we could invent a gadget to figure out the language of all breathing objects. A little while ago, a marten talked to me for a lengthy hour, but I didn't realize anything. How much better it would be if we could invent a device that could observe and store the remembrance of a creature. Then we would each take care of our memories like now we preserve the file on the computer. Therefore, we could see it whenever we required. Many complications would have been worked out later. The only way to arrest a lawbreaker was to explore for his memories, to look at if he had committed a crime. The functions of police and detective would have been much simpler then. Everyone was scared to give inaccurate testimony in a court. Once you probed for remembrances, everything would be seized. Criminals were more frightened when they perpetrated crimes. It would have been a very fun day then. How much better it would be if a device could be invented that would grant us to transfer our memories from one individual to another. Just as we change clothes now, so do we change bodies. How much better it would be if a device could be invented to measure human love. It is undesirable to figure out that the most valuable element in this world cannot be measured. So most of the time, individuals have to fraud when they love someone. Then that love turns into hatred. So if love could be measured by monitoring the activity of hormones in the first place, thus these problems would not take place repeatedly. But the devices I chatted about maybe will never be invented, because there is not as much mystery in space as there is in our mind. Uncovering it is not a comfortable task at all. Understanding all the activities of the brain is not an easy task at all. If contemplating a little advanced animal or human brain, we will learn that there are millions of memories, millions of feelings hidden there. There are various activities in diverse parts. Science has not even assimilated a single part. Maybe all the brains in this universe are associated to a point closely. From there, all the brains are being controlled. This point is the origin of all authenticity. That point is the brain and controller of this universe. That point teaches us to consider what we feel is so true. The world-famous scientist Erwin Schrödinger says, the total number of minds in the universe is one. Consciousness is a singularity phasing with all being. God is one and unique. He is the controller of this universe. We are a tiny creature made up of triguna. We have been created from the Panchabhuta made up of triguna. After death, we will disappear into that Panchabhuta again. From there, new life will be created again. But keep in mind, our bodies have death, but our souls do not die. The soul is immortal and indestructible. The soul can easily flow from one era to another, from one dimension to another, and in different eras, in different dimensions, born in different forms.
Fairy tales and aliens. In the 21st century, human beings have developed into leading species in science. But if those giant creatures of different planets somehow discover a new route to come to this earth, if they invade this earth and human civilization further, we will be But if those giant creatures of different planets somehow discover a new route to come to earth, if they invade this earth and human civilization further, will we be adept enough to resist them and sustain our existence? Maybe not. So as long as the creatures of that giant different planet are further away from Earth, it is beneficial for us. The day they set foot on this earth, the extension of our human civilization on this earth will begin. The contemporary human species was created about 3 lakh years ago. From the evidence we have attained of human civilization, we have ascertained that human civilization began about 6,000 years ago. Maybe there was a human civilization before that, but we haven't discovered any evidence of it. According to Hindu scriptures, Lord Krishna was born about 5,000 to 6,000 years ago. The period of the Adi Yogi is about 15,000 to 18,000 years ago, but we haven't discovered any evidence of it. The story I'm going to tell you now is about 25,000 years old. I do not have testimony about the story, so I will narrate the story as a fairy tale. I heard the story from my forefathers. Human civilization was somewhat advanced 25,000 years ago. Gold, silver, diamonds, gems were dispersed all around. At that time, the emperors were so generous to the people. There was jubilation all around. An accident took place at that time. Those giant creatures of fairy tales invaded the earth. The human civilization. Where did those giant creatures come from? There is controversy about it. Many assume they arrived from the underworld. Underworld meaning they remained far below the ground or in the deep waters of the ocean. Again, It may be that they appeared to our planet from other planets. Maybe they came to our Earth from the murky world of the dark dimension. We might claim that the dark dimension is the underworld. These giant monsters have been interpreted in various mythological texts in diverse cultures in different parts of this world. After getting to this world, they knocked out one king after the other, brutally killing humans. Violence against women moved to extremes. They also killed children indiscriminately, as if they were cats and dogs or any other beast on the street. At that time, people could not get along with those giant monsters. They looted most of our treasure and demolished most of our knowledge and science. At that time, some creatures from different planets came forward to support us. They came to our Earth from the planet Alex. They settled in the sky. In specific cultures in other parts of this world, they are still worshipped as gods. There are sketches of about 33 crore deities in various myths. These gods might have been creatures from distant worlds. They settled in the sky and were considered better than us in wisdom and science. Then, there was a terrible battle between the gods and the demons. The gods used firearms to crush those giant monsters. The monsters were overpowered and compelled to leave this world. They took shelter on another planet. To preserve the condition of mortal beings from deteriorating after the departure of the gods, a compassionate deity stole the knowledge of applying and controlling fire from the gods and offered it to the people, and for that, we had to have pertinent punishment. It was this fire that subsequently showed people a unique direction in the struggle for existence.
We are that generation. We are that breed that has witnessed an era of transition before our very eyes. At that moment, there were not any paved streets in our village. There was no electricity. Now, glance around, as if science has equipped our lives with various worldly objects. Smartphones, smart TV, AC, fridge, laptops, all these were once like a dream in our life. But are we content? Maybe our capability to perceive the ecstasy of insignificant objects has reduced a lot. When we were young, we used to count the days. When would the guests arrive at the residence? Now we get scared when we hear guests arriving at the household. What is the reason for such a transformation of psychology? I don't comprehend. The delight of bathing in the rain for hours on end cannot be relished by many of the current generation. Our tenderness and attractiveness for nature seem to have abated. We cannot appreciate that form of nature in such a way. There is not much enthusiasm in young kids playing on the field now. They are busy playing video games. I acknowledge that the internet is an origin of boundless knowledge. The more we employ ourselves in the virtual world, the less we prefer to invest time with folk and the real world. The internet has turned into an instrument in the hands of some unscrupulous businessmen. The internet has greatly increased our desire for luxury. Science has provided us with many benefits to enjoy life. But are we using it accurately? It's time to consider the matter. The number of weapons we have on our planet is plentiful to wipe out human civilization. Many times we are doing injustice to nature due to our extra profit and foolishness. Our next generation may have to pay the price. So, we have to initiate speculating in a vigorous style. May our way of life lead our society to progress, to delight. We need to pay exclusive consideration to make the change positive. If we can find a solution of P versus NP, problem and misuse it, then this discovery of mathematics is enough to completely destroy human civilization from this world. Science will offer us many more gifts in the future, but it is our responsibility for the proper utilization of it. Everyone should remember that an incredible power always carries great responsibility. A child's personality. Parents, households, and the environment play a crucial part in constructing a child's personality. We should remember that they are tracking us. Whatever we instruct them, they will learn. Every parent wishes their child to be particularly considerable. To be big does not just mean owing a lot of wealth. To be big means leading a positive change in society, moving society towards progress and light. It is not right to think that a boy or girl will develop into a human being just by enrolling in enormous schools and investing a lot of money. Many parents pressure their children for good results. It is not desirable. In this process, the achievement will never take place for children. They require to be taught to dream. Dreaming is particularly essential to turn into significant in life. Those who yearn to dream high and strive incessantly to fulfill that dream are the most dynamic. They get victory in life. All adversity succumbs to them. Those who try regularly can never surrender. Those who think failure is a system to success can never lose. There is no age to learn in life. As long as we survive, we learn. We can learn in many ways. We can achieve knowledge in many forms. We can acquire knowledge by reading books. We can recollect knowledge through experience. And we can promote knowledge through failure. But what failure teaches us prepares us profoundly. So many people consider that failure is a pillar of success. Those who think of failure as a ladder of success can never lose. As night comes after day, so the day falls after night. Those who earnestly trust in this concept and make incessant efforts can never surrender. It is our responsibility to improve their roots and branches so that in the future every kid can prove themselves, fulfill their dreams. That is why not only parents but also teachers have to perform a leading role. We require making certain that every child develops their roots and wings to the fullest.
Think of the next generation. Have you ever thought of the next generation? The way we are wasting resources. What will happen to them in future? Think about that. Don't waste resources. Save it. Something has to be left for the future generation. Otherwise, the future generations will never forgive us. At first, stop wasting food. Since one class of people waste, another class of people are suffering from it. Stop unnecessary wastage of petrol, diesel, electricity, and drinking water. Think how rainwater can be conserved. If scarcity of drinking water and electricity is going on throughout the world, what will be the terrible situation again? Do you even think of it? Maybe one country will attack another for the lack of resources. It will be impossible to stop World War III. Keep the environment good. Don't get dirty unnecessarily. Don't litter plastic and mask here and there. Your little unconsciousness can cause the death of other animals. Plant trees regularly. Don't destroy the forest. If you do that, one day the human civilization will perish for the want of oxygen. Save animals that are endangered. Not competition, but willful cooperation is the key to life as we depend on each other in the food chain. Let's give an example. Although small, bees play a significant role in the creation of this nature. For some reason, if bees become extinct, our human civilization will cease to exist. We are unimportant in the face of this nature. If nature wants to take revenge for the violations we have committed, our existence will be wiped out in a matter of moments. Learn for yourself and teach the next generation. Don't waste resources. Rather, think of how to save them. Otherwise, the next generation will not forgive you either. Overpopulation and environmental pollution are serious problems in any developing country. Bigger problems than terrorism and corruption. But we seem to have no concern about them. Democracy indulges in excessive population growth in the greed for votes. Democracy does not care about environmental pollution. If a leader wants to think about the environment, the people of the country will not vote for him, because most of the people in the country do not understand themselves well. This is the failure of democracy. It is therefore very necessary to enlighten every citizen of the country in the light of education. We all have to come forward, help the helpless according to our ability, provide free education to at least 5 poor students a year, stand by at least one poor family, donate to orphanages, old age homes, various voluntary organizations. Now is the time of disaster. Not competition, but willful cooperation is the key to life. Otherwise, the next generation will not forgive us.
Other articles. 1. Many speculate that death does not exist. Secession is a hallucination of consciousness. Likewise, many conclude that birth and death revolve around a cycle. Expiration cannot be bypassed. Perpetuity is therefore just a reverie. Most people get lost in the swirl of time. Some short-lived individuals are ageless. In this world, no soul other than man can leave such an impression after death. Only man can do something in life that will sustain him eternally for ages. Although most people get frittered in the flow of time, only a few short-lived people become immortal. They guide human civilization. The accomplishment of mortal life is here. Man can be timeless through his activities. So we can try to cultivate gold there without abandoning such a unique land. 2. God has given us many things. God has given us a rational mind and the ability to enjoy the beauty of nature. But in many other ways, we are inferior to even our creatures. If one gives a meager meal to a dog, later he will commemorate it for his whole life. If a dog is given shelter in a house, he will save the house by sacrificing his life. This type of gratitude is seen in many other animals. But man is an exception. People quickly forget the benefits of the benefactor. Man is a selfish animal. We have come to this world with the opportunity of the hospitality of this nature, but we generally forget it. As the saying goes, beauty kills the beast. Beauty destroys bestiality. But I consider in multiple ways, animals are better than us. The law of this nature is extremely diverse. Here, an animal is compelled to kill another animal for food. Energy is transmitted in this process. In the forest, they have to continually struggle to survive. There is an abundance of suffering to the encountered. But they never behave inhumanely. Never do they tamper with the laws of nature. They do not execute other creatures for no reason. They do not slaughter any other animal without meat or self-defense. They do not oppress women, but humans do. The current Taliban regime in Afghanistan is an example of how extreme violence against women can be. The Taliban regime reminds us of medieval barbarism. We can understand the unbearable suffering of the people of that time by looking at the current situation in Afghanistan. Many individuals assume that the destiny of pretty women in this world is remarkably satisfactory because they constantly appeal to the attention of most youths. They are the center of attractiveness for most guys. But in most instances, glamorous women are deprived of genuine love. They are surrounded by artificial love. When the lure is gone, the proper form of that love can be figured out. Since beautiful women are consistently the center of appeal for guys, they cannot precisely identify true love. They think synthetic love is absolute and are duped. On the other hand, it is observed that particular women who are not beautiful can obtain true love most of the time because they are not hemmed in by fake love. From that point of view, women who are not pretty are more blessed because it is simple to be the center of the enchantment of men, but it is unlikely for fellows to identify perfect love. 4. Growing up does not mean owing enormous treasures in life. Growing up means bringing on a constructive transformation into society. That change will lead society towards improvement and light. In this society, we can bring a transition in many ways. Even if our input is extraordinarily meager, there is no damage. We can contribute a little to orphanages and old age homes. We can stand by the side of wretched and destitute folk, provide free education to their offspring. We can afford food for the helpless dogs and cats lying on the street twice a day. We can contribute little food and refreshments to the birds. We can show reverence for parents. We can make strategies to make the juvenile a human being without enhancing the population excessively. We can inspire everyone to proceed forward without generating any discrimination between men and women. Selflessness is righteousness. We should contemplate not ourselves, but we should also consider others. We can make service before ourselves the password to life. Transparency is rectitude. We can clean up the environment without making it nasty. We should not contaminate the environment unnecessarily. We should not pollute the environment unnecessarily. We should plant trees frequently. We ought to conserve forests so that we can conserve numerous wild animals. We do not tarnish the natural beauty. We pay exclusive consideration so that no animal becomes extinct or endangered by us. If we do not engage in the politics of violence and split, if we accept in the religion of love and humanity, if we do not advocate the war unnecessarily, thus one day our life will become ethical. Through hard work and action, we will usher a new era. Without work, the welfare of this universe is not possible at all. Weaknesses must be overcome first. Today is a finished day of this life. No work can be left for tomorrow. With this in mind, we have to perform ceaseless attempts. You have to dream huge to grow up in life. We have to constantly struggle to fulfill that dream. Surely thus will victory come into life. 5. As a child, I frequently reflected that if I were a bird, there would be no constraint in my life. If I could raise my feathers like a peacock and exult in the shower, if I could fly in the sky like an eagle, if I could chant in a delightful melody like a cuckoo, if I could wander anywhere in the country, overseas, in the mountains, in the forest, in the deep jungle, my communication with nature would have been more profound. I could enjoy the natural beauty more passionately. As a toddler, I occasionally speculated that if I were a sapling, I would spread the perfume of numerous flowers all around me. Little children would sport with the branches of my tree. Various birds would nest in the arms of my tree. Many would take shelter in my shadow. I would offer everyone sweet, juicy gifts. I could bathe in the rainwater as I pleased. There was no one to interrupt me. The more profound my communication with nature was, the more intensely I could appreciate the genuine elegance of nature. 6. How was life formed in this universe? We do not experience. But how will an organism reproduce? It is influenced by nature. How will bacteria multiply? How will the plant reproduce? How will different animals breed? How will a fresh organism be generated from one organism? It is determined by nature. If nature deprives an organism of the ability to reproduce repeatedly, the chances of that species becoming extinct are immeasurably increased, because it becomes challenging for them to create a unique life. There may be many creatures in this universe that reproduce in any straightforward way. Nature has taken away that authority from them. A new generation of them is created through test tubes. Their quantity, therefore, cannot increase rapidly in this universe. In front of nature, we are inconsequential creatures. We have arrived at this world with the convenience of nature's hospitality. If we despise that nature, our downfall will become inevitable. 7. I do not support war for no reason. Violence is not justifiable. Non-violence is the ultimate religion. Eye for eye. If you believe in this principle, one day this whole world will go blind. But many times the fight for justice, for peace became inevitable, because those who do injustice and those who tolerate injustice, they are both guilty. So many times war has become inevitable for the suppression of evil and the observance of good. The world belongs to the brave. None but the brave deserves the world. So we must first remove the weakness from the mind. We need to be strong. Forgiveness makes our character great. But only the strong can forgive. The weak have no right to forgive. Health is wealth. We need to exercise regularly. All bad habits must be abandoned. Unity is a real power. We all have to move forward together. We need to unite in diversity. Knowledge and science need to be improved. Because knowledge and science are the most powerful weapons. Because India was weak, foreign powers have plundered the beauty and wealth of India for ages, destroying the culture, knowledge and science. We have been subjected to cruel oppression, injustice, and we have had to endure it. 8. Several people speculate that peace is more significant than happiness in life. Rejoice is necessary for elation. Sacrifice is significant for peace of mind. The way out is not creamy at all, but the peace that is accomplished through the sacrifice is the utmost joy. The objective of life is happiness and establishment. However, the intention of life is service and sacrifice. Nave, exhilaration, and establishment are turned up in the passage of service and sacrifice. The achievement of our lives is there. The joy that comes from devoting oneself to the welfare of all, helping the helpless, is the real joy. Selflessness is godliness.